So guys, welcome back to RBR. I'm your host Raz. Now the tagline for the Mercedes G-Class or the G-Wagon or the Geländewagen is stronger than time. And for any car these days to actually be stronger than time, it means that you're going to have to get with the program and get electric. And Mercedes is not about to let their best-selling and most notorious SUV in their history just fade into history. So today we've got the first look at the concept EQG. It is an almost production-ready concept of what a G-Wagon will look like as a full EV, and it's a lot more G than you expect. So let's take a look at it right now and check out the brand new concept EQ G-Wagon. So today's episode of RBR is once again sponsored by NordVPN. It's an app that I cannot do without on any of my devices, and I'll explain why. Whether it's mobile, whether it's laptop, personal computer, etc. It is something that I absolutely need for either work or pleasure. When it comes to work, it protects your data, keeps you anonymous online, protects your credit card information. For anyone active on social media like me, it makes sure that apps like Instagram still thinks that you're in your home country, so it doesn't restrict the features of those apps. So it really is something that you can't live without for work. When it comes to pleasure, let's say you're using Netflix while you're abroad, it'll make sure you still have your full library accessible to you and it's not restricted because you've visited some other country. So really useful. Returning sponsor, guys, for RBR viewers, use the code RBR, avail this amazing offer, and please support our sponsors. Now the first thing that really pleases me about the concept EQG, I'm just going to call it the EQG now for the rest of this video, is that it just looks like a G-Wagon on the face of it with some EQ bits. And what have I always said about the EQ product family from Mercedes Benz? They just need to look like the original Mercedes cars, but electrified. And that is exactly what the EQG is previewing here. So you've got those typical traits of the blocky G-Wagon design. You've got typical traits like the normal handles, which I'll get onto in a minute. But first, let's check out the front end, because that is where most of the EQ flavor is, I think, for the EQG. And that comes in the form of a black panel grille, as we've seen in EQS, EQE, Maybach, etc. But here with the G format, you can see you've got the typical, G is all about squares, square blocks. We've seen it in the interior, always using squares and square shapes to emphasize this idea of off-roading. So in here, you've got that typical almost AMG designed grille here, but using the light graphic. Whether this will make production or not, I very much doubt it, but it gives you an idea of what the final version might look like. You've got ambient lighting around the grille surround, again, all square. So what is the final grille going to look like? I think it's going to look like something like the EQS AMG, like our last video. If you haven't seen it, check that out. That had like the embossed AMG style grille with the vertical slats. I think that would look incredible on the G-Wagon and really match the combustion car, but with its own flavor. Typical G-Wagon lights as well, not some wavy EQ lights, which is great. We're very happy about that. You've got a black bonnet, which again, it just might be a concept car decision really, because this would look so much better just being full body color. We come on the lower half and you see again that square shape. As I've been saying, this is all very G-Wagon, and this lower half, none of it really denotes it being one of the EQ family. It just looks like a G. You come down here, and one of the best bits I like is our little mud flap here. It's got the G logo there, which is fantastic. Let's go around the side now. Again, your typical G-Wagon indicator lights here. One thing that's quite interesting, we've got this lit up. Now this would normally be just black plastic in the G-Wagon. Here on our EQ concept, it's lit up. Whether that will make final production, I'm not sure, but it's quite an interesting take on it. Indicators, really interesting here. Are they hideous though? I don't know. I get the idea they're meant to match our front lights, right? And they kind of do, but does that look right on this shape? I'm not convinced. Wheels though, these are cool, because A, they are aerodynamic, as you can see, but they're also very classically AMG, I think, you know, the old monoblock style of AMG wheels. but then aerodynamic to match the EV side of it, and the right kind of cuts and shapes to make it look like a G-Wagon wheel. Big fan of these. These look great. Now, one of the coolest things, and I have to show you from up there, is the roof rack on top of here. Now, of course, this is an SUV, it's an off-roading vehicle. You need to be able to transport stuff. You need to be able to carry stuff. It's not just like all the other luxury EQ cars. This has got a proper roof rack, and the thing I love about it is the G-Wagon logo right in the middle of it. Again, that is so cool. And speaking of classic G-Wagon stuff, I need to show you the rear of this car. Now, this has to please you, right? Because you're used to having the spare wheel on the rear. Now, we haven't got a spare wheel here. Instead, what we've got here is a storage unit where you can put in, for example, your charging cables, etc., for this fully electric G-Wagon, which is such a great repurposing of a classic idea, but bringing it into the future, I think, in the right way. And that's really what highlights. By the way, you guys have obviously noticed these by now. See, there's some security guards over there who are getting them in the camera. They're very unhappy if we're using our shoes on here because they want this lovely shiny floor. Anyway, you get a pair of these free with every EQG in the future, so yeah, well worth the price of admission. Classic G-Wagon lights, right? This is so important. I don't want a light strip across here like the other EQ cars. That's not what G-Wagon is all about. So well done, again, keeping that. Let's hope that makes production as well. But the rest, not much to talk about. It's classic G-Wagon. On top of our roof rack here, we've got the brake light as well, which I think is a really good idea. One other cool thing, and this is on the other door handles as well, if you come close, I hope this makes production. Look, the little button's got the G-Wagon logo in there. See, that's cool. Let me show you the door handles as well. Again, you've got them on here, and the cool thing is that when you open and close these doors, we can tell just by the construction and what they said in the press kit, it's going to have that same ka-chunk of the G-Wagon doors, because first and foremost, it's a G. G has certain character bits that you just cannot live without, and the EQG seems to maintain all of that. In terms of turning an icon like the G into an EV, I think the G is the perfect type of car suited for this, because it's the type of car where propulsion systems don't matter as much. I always thought the diesel was a better car than the AMG version, so having a quieter, more luxurious car makes sense in a G because it's all about the styling and the heritage. Plus, the natural weight distribution of an EV benefits a car like the G-Wagon, which is so tall in a big SUV, that's only going to help with the handling dynamics. So in my opinion, this is going to be the EQ car to have. So guys, that's your EQ G-Wagon. I'm really pleased with it. As I said, it's a typical Mercedes design, and it's exactly what you expect the G to be in the EV world. I think the production version will be less zany and a bit more easy for us to swallow as well, which is great. In terms of technicalities, they've told us nothing in terms of range, batteries. Undoubtedly, we'll have something similar to EQS in terms of having 2 motors, a huge battery undoubtedly at the bottom of the car. But until we learn more, I can't wait to see the production version of the car. This is so far my favorite Mercedes EQ that I've seen so far. I'm so excited about this. It's a car that I think that I would love to own. I think it's a car that is going to sell out like crazy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please do like, subscribe, and share this video, and I'll see you guys next time.